Well, hello and welcome to today's webinar. I am so very happy that you're here today with us. We have our chat open, so please feel free to say hello and tell us where you're tuning in from today. So today we're going to be discussing a very important and somewhat controversial topic of price transparency. Now, today's consumers really value transparency more than ever before. And it's especially true when it comes to larger purchases, such as buying a new home. But many home builders still hesitate to provide pricing up front, and that can be for various reasons. So today we're really going to explore the benefits of providing price transparency, which includes attracting serious buyers and establishing that trust with them upfront. Now, we'll also discuss some of the best practices of providing pricing information and how to overcome objections if your builder is hesitant to do so. Now, today's webinar is brought to you by Inugo Marketplace. Inugo Marketplace is designed specifically for new construction shopping to make it easy and convenient for home buyers. Our smart filters and AI-powered customer experiences really ensure that buyers find their perfect match for their dream home. Inugo Marketplace offers a range of features to make the buying process seamless. Now, buyers can design their dream homes using interactive design tools, which really allows them to visualize the final product while making them emotionally fall in love with the home in the process. Our platform also offers that collaborative shopping experience, which allows buyers to save, share their favorite plans, chat with their co-buyers, and compare their favorites. Now, for home builders, Inugo Marketplace really offers a higher quality leads because the customers are engaged shoppers that spend already hours finding and designing their dream homes online. So if you'd like to learn more about Inugo Marketplace, please be sure to reach out to our VP of Business Development, Andrew. All right, with that, let's meet our panelists for today. So now most of you already know me, hopefully. Hi, I'm Anya Chrysanthon, and I'm going to be your host today. Joining me today are three experts, but counting me, four. And fun fact, we all have something in common. So each one of us was winner of Pro Builders 40 Under 40 at some point in our lives. So we weren't, I think Sherry and I were in the same class. Tyler, maybe too, right? Lindsay, you're a little bit earlier, but all four of us were the winners of 40 Under 40 at some point. So very proud of that. But let me introduce you to our panelists. So first up, we have Sherry Morton. Sherry is the CMO and Chief OSC at Share Drive. Sherry, would you like to say a few words to introduce yourself to our audience today?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I co-founded Share Drive with Ingrid Prince about 3 years ago, and we are the first outsourcing for OSC that is also remote. So our entire company works remote, and we work across the United States as well as in Canada.
Next up, we have Lindsay Halton. Lindsay is the Director of Sales and Marketing at Homes by Tabor. So she's dialing in from Oklahoma City, and we hear some thunder in the background. So if Lindsay runs off to a shelter in place, you guys know why.
Oh my God, yeah, there's definitely some thunder going on in the background, but I think we're safe from any major threats. But yeah, I'm Lindsay Halton. I'm Director of Sales and Marketing for Homes by Tabor. We are located in Oklahoma City. We are a regional builder. Our tagline is proudly overbuilt. So we are a builder that includes more in our homes than any other builder in the state. And pricing is a big topic for us. I'm excited to talk to everyone today about this topic.
Great. And last but not least, we have Tyler Stouter. Tyler is a technologist with BIM and Clayton Properties. So Tyler, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for having it. It's kind of hard to follow those two ladies, but I will do my best. Yeah, technology, super passionate about all things CRM, automation, and how we can feed your digital assets. So pricing is super important with all of that.
So without any further ado, let's jump into our topic.
I would be the first person to go to talk about the importance of transparency. And I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this because as an OSC, we sit in the sales office of the website. And to give you a little bit of data on this, according to a 2019 survey by Label Insight, 94% of consumers are more likely to be loyal to a brand that offers complete transparency. As an OSC that has been sitting on the website for almost, 10 plus years now, I can tell you time after time that in the, one-off situations, because I've always fortunately been working with builders who have pricing on their website, but when they launch a certain community and there isn't pricing yet, we get a lot of slack for it, and it just does not create a good customer experience. But more importantly, there's no loyalty there because, through loyalty and relationship is trust. And if you don't have transparency, then that trust isn't built right away. And as you know, most buyers who go onto the website, they make a snap judgment. And if they go on there and they don't see pricing, it creates this sense of distrust. So transparency for us is so important because without that, it's hard for us to build that rapport on the website. Imagine if you're sitting at a model home and somebody walks into your model home and say, I really love lot 32. What's the pricing? You're like, well, I don't know. Fill out the survey first or give us our name. And then I'll tell you, it doesn't provide a great experience. And it makes it very difficult for us to build that trust. The other important thing is people want to know when they go on the website, the biggest motivator is to one, learn about the company, but also to know what am I getting for my money? And I want to look outward in our industry to companies like Southwest. Their tagline is all about transparency. And as a diehard Southwest person, even with all of the issues that have been going on with Southwest, I continue to be a loyal customer because I fly so much that when I don't know exactly what I'm paying and I have to check out like all of the legs of my flight in order to find out at the end whether or not I can afford this flight sucks. So for me, and for most of the people that I know, they fly Southwest because they can see right away what is that pricing going to be. And the transparency is not just about money, but about all the different platforms. So when you look at the consumers right now, TikTok is a really great indicator of that. The reason why TikTok is so popular because TikTok is one of the few platforms that make sure their influencers are authentic. They make sure that the influencers are truly representing who they are and there's no bait and switch. There's always that authenticity. So whenever an influencer falsely represents a product or falsely represents who they are, their viewers completely drag them. So that is, to me, when I look at the consumers that are going on to the website and going on to, the outside world, they expect complete transparency. This is not an option anymore. And you look at other industries like Toyota, they are leading the way for complete price transparency. It used to be you would walk into a lot and you would haggle the pricing. Now, when you walk into these big automotive companies like Toyota, the price is the price. I mean, they would have incentives and all of that, but there's no guesswork into what the pricing is. It's actually put onto every car and it's itemized exactly why the price is that way. And another industry that's probably lagging and is also being dragged is the medical industry. People are so fed up with the fact that they have to go to the doctor, they get all this imaging and they don't know what the price is until they get it at the very end. And the bill is huge. So you're starting to see companies like Waystar, who their tagline is they're empowering patients and providers through price transparency. And the point of this message is it's not just the home building industry that's affected with price transparency. It's simply how the customer shops now. If there is no pricing, it just builds this distrust, and you will get left behind if you don't, jump on this ship.
Thank you. So you'll notice in my next couple of slides, I'm a huge Office fan. So I've asked Dwight to help summarize each one of my talking points to kind of let you know what he's going through. So all of us on the panel, I think, are on the same page that we think pricing is very, very important. Just by not displaying pricing on website apps, right, flyers, it kind of deters some people away who prefer transparency. The company Drift, which specializes in chat bots and conversational marketing is what they call it, a fancy name for kind of AI and chat combined. They have a really good analogy where if you walked into a Best Buy or a Walmart, a Home Depot, and there was no customer service person to help you, you would probably turn around and walk back out. The same kind of goes for pricing. If you walked into those stores and you didn't see any pricing, you would be very confused, probably frustrated, and want to know what was going on. But there are still some reasons why new construction might not include pricing. And one of those things is prices change way too frequently. Different locations, inventory, supply chain, demand, like all those COVID issues that we ran into earlier kind of fluctuated pricing going back and forth. So by not having to change pricing all the time is a pretty good reason why someone wouldn't do that. The other is sticker shock, right? The stat is that the people that were qualified for a 3% mortgage rate, no longer could even buy at a 4 or 5% rate now. So seeing those prices and then mixed in with mortgage prices, you might scare some people away. And as builders, you don't want to push your clients away, right? So we're not going to put our pricing up there. It also kind of gives competitors that chance to competitive shop you, right? Like they can see what you're offering in a specific community, they can see what your options are, and they can counter that. The other thing is builders want to use their sales team. They want to use these people, these sales agents that are in these seats, in these models, to be the one to talk numbers, right? So if you put pricing online, then there's the idea, well, the OSC team, right? They're going to handle everything and it's going to take from me. That's really not the case. They feel that sales teams have a lot of power, a lot of knowledge, and are able to have better conversations with buyers, especially when there's just so many new programs out there that are, to help buyers afford at these new higher rates. They feel like an actual physical person can help sell a lot cleaner than the website, than OSC, than even chatbots or any other automations. And then the other thing is it could be too complicated. Websites are pretty intense nowadays. It might be hard to remember to change the price on a community page or on a specific floor plan page. There's different programs available now. Builders, national builders, even regional builders are offering, buy down programs or rate locks. So to try to figure that into what a monthly payment could be or what your actual home price could be just makes it hard. And then to make sure all your materials are updated, your flyers, your website, your social media, it's just too hard to do. So I think the idea there is like, hey, we just won't do it because there are so many different pieces out there that we've got to remember, or you might not even know where to start. The person who developed your website or created your social media could have left, is out sick, and no one knows that communication or those credentials to log in. And so it's just easier not to show anything.
I was going to comment on that. The line underneath Dwight, it says, here's how I'm going to help from now on. I'm going to not care. I mean, that's funny, but it's also incredibly true. We hear that a lot because it does get too complicated. Before we go into the solutions of it, I wanted to talk about the negative impact that it has on the actual customer experience. And I wanted to put up something that we as OSCs hear all the time. And the reason why they never even make it to the models is they were looking online, and we've all done it. Like we pour a glass of wine, we go through all of these things, and then we find, the perfect home site or the perfect spec. And because it's not on the website, they're having to ask, the OSC, or they're having to call into the salesperson. And if we don't reach out to them quick enough and give them time to talk to their spouse, then they end up losing. And when they lose enough, they become frustrated and they move on. If they had enough information on the website, the conversation would be, where do I sign? When do I visit? How do I talk more about this? But we're kind of pushing people off by not giving that pricing right away. The other thing that I get a lot, especially when it comes to not having pricing, is that bait and switch. It's depending on how we market things. We can say homes in the low 300s on an ad, but then they go to a different community and they fall in love with it. And it turns out that that community is like in the millions, and we're like, not the same picture, but it doesn't matter to the customer. They fell in love with something and they saw a price somewhere else that's not on the website. It creates a lot of confusion. And what ends up happening is they have this feeling of bait and switch. You gave me this, and now I go into the models, I sit down, I travel to sit down with the agent, and I find out that it's not what I can afford. It wastes your time, it wastes their time, and it creates a bad reputation. And the other thing is your online person said X pricing. So as an OSC, when I'm on the phone, I am sometimes pressured to say it's not on the website, but give me a range. I'm not going to go in unless I know a range. And because we give them a range and it's 20,000 off, 50,000 off, whatever it is, they get frustrated because they're like, the online person said it was X price when we gave them a range. And then they go to the online or on-site person. And that creates a ton of issues because it causes conflict between the online and on-site because we don't have enough information to set the proper expectations. We can't just say, I can't tell you how much the home is. I can't tell you our green spend, but go ahead and make an appointment and talk to them just in case you can afford it. That's just not a good customer experience. And that also, because there is no concrete information for them to start off with, they'll say stuff like, the online person said the RV garage is included. I mean, that's madness. Nobody includes their RV garage unless it's a spec, but these are conversations that end up happening that your on-site person has to deal with. And that just sucks for the customer, and it sucks for your on-site team as well.
What a ultimate way to create distrust, right? Like it's that whole sketchy car sales, like,
yes,
approach.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't know what's under the hood, but they're pushing this community when you don't even know what the price is, right?
So I was just thinking the
distrust.
same thing. Like the last thing you want is to tell someone one thing and then they get out there and they're told another. Like that's the instant disaster for the customer to just automatically leave and count you out.
Absolutely. And I've had situations where we launch a community, months in ahead, and you can't help it, but we need a range and we say it's 300. And again, it could very well be 300, but if I have communities that are close, they go to another community, and buyers will tell themselves whatever story they need to give themselves hope to purchase a home. But when there's not this like clear price on the website, there's so many stories told and nobody knows where those stories came from, and fingers start pointing at each other. And it's just, I've never found it to be a really great experience for anybody. And just think about all the man hours that it costs to go back and forth to like make them happy and clarify things. I just don't see a benefit to it. I do see benefits to where there are clear pricing. I can tell you right away when there is transparent and clear pricing on the website, it creates serious buyers, not just for the on-site person, but for the OSC as well. We had a builder that did pricing, but it was, low 400s, high 400s. They weren't exact. When we built their website, we encouraged them to be exact. And to tell you that we had a lot of serious buyers come in. There was time. I mean, there's always going to be tire kickers, but the amount of serious buyers that end up talking to us was noticeable right away. We didn't even dig into the data before the OSC was like, hey, we're getting a really good influx of serious buyers because they know they can afford it. There's no question. So it goes straight to let's set an appointment so we can talk to the online or on-site person to go over what the feature sheets are. And again, that lends to a reducing number of inquiries. I love to talk about how much it costs the builder when someone has to do something repeatedly, when it could just be cleared with a single action. And one of those single actions, if you provide pricing, the OSC no longer has to kind of tap dance around, what the pricing is. That causes a lot of time spent filtering the serious buyers and not enough time driving that sale. And ultimately, we want to get sales for the company. There was a 2020 survey by Zillow that found 60% of home buyers said that they're more likely to contact a builder who provides transparent pricing on their website. And I can tell you year after year, and now I have the privilege of working for builder after builder, when there is pricing, there is a much better experience, but there's also that trust. You're not having to explain away anything. The price is the price is the price. And the entire company has one place to go to for accurate pricing. That I used to work for Macy's, and one of the things that we would say is make sure the tag on the clothes is right, because if you go and you scan it and it's not, then that's the price you're going to have to go to. But that ended up saving Macy's a lot of money in the long run, because you're not having to have someone run for a price check or figure out, if this is the right price, and having the customer be frustrated. The price was the price. It's counterintuitive, but it did end up saving them a ton of money because there was no inefficiencies. And even when the pricing wasn't right, it didn't matter. Their bottom line ended up being that they were more profitable. And after that, other clothing stores followed Macy's suit.
And Sherry, to your point, with consumers calling for pricing, like, I don't know how many of you would even call. Like, I would never call for pricing because I would feel embarrassed if it's out of my price range. So if it's not on the website, I'm sorry, I'm just moving on to the next one. It's
right. For the websites that had their chat feature on, we would get a lot of, does this home fall under this price? And if we couldn't tell them, they would just leave the chat and ghost us and not give their information. So I could tell you, we lost a ton of leads just not being able to answer that simple question.
I would be really interested to know, so that Zillow statistic that you just threw up there, 2020, 60% of buyers. So that's before all of the major supply chain issues and all of those things compounded that really, really drove pricing just sky high, especially in some areas. I would love to know what that percentage point is now for people that aren't even going to entertain, a website that doesn't have pricing on it.
That's for sure.
For sure.
Well, it's a time thing too, right? There's so much information coming at us right now in this world, like pricing, commercials, like radio ads, right? Like, ain't nobody got time for that. If there's not pricing on the website, we're scanning to see what's out there, to see if it fits our budget. And if it's not out there, are you really going to work and try to work harder as a buyer to find that? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. They have to really want it if they're going to work that hard. In marketing, I always say one of our biggest jobs is to try to decrease points of friction in the sales process, whatever that is, right? We have to kind of remove those friction points so that the buyer can go through the process really smoothly. And in sales, one of our biggest jobs is overcoming objections, right? And I mean, we all know objections really from buyers are really just questions that they have that they are maybe, saying in a different type of way, for an opportunity for us to talk about that. And there's so many builders that really hesitate to put pricing online because they're kind of worried that they're going to get excluded right from the get-go, which, as we have just been talking about, not putting pricing on there actually has the opposite effect, right? Because people can at least qualify themselves. They can see what the price is and they can kind of know, like, is this in my price range or am I just totally wasting my time? And so really, like, putting pricing online is just helping you overcome those objections right from the very beginning. You're reducing those friction points. Nobody has to want to jump into the chat just to ask how much something costs. No one wants to pick up the phone, especially, and call someone, press 1, press 2, press 3, just to see what a price point is. So really, like, when I think about putting pricing online, there's key ways that your marketing team and your entire company can set your sales team up for success to overcome those objections. And it really all comes down to making sure that you have transparency and transparent pricing online on your website and on all platforms that your marketing team is utilizing. So I always think you think about kind of the buying process and how it's so much online. And so you think a customer sees a home online. So this, and it's an example here. So they see a home online, they see the price, they submit a lead, they talk to your online sales professional, and all of these are with this price in mind, right? They go out to the model, they speak face to face with a sales agent, knowing the price of the home. If they're bringing up a price objection, they're probably just trying to, negotiate or use it to get something for free. Like truly, they know the price. They've had all this time to kind of go through those options. And so it really just allows them to soak in that information before they even get face to face with that sales agent. So it's really one of the biggest ways I think that we can set our sales teams up for success, because it just helps overcome what could be the biggest objection that the customer has if they don't know that information up front. And certainly nobody likes to feel like they've been bait and switched in order to get them out there. Sherry talked about, putting ranges up there. One of the questions that I hear from some builders that are custom builders are, we don't really know, like we don't have set floor plans with set pricing. And that's why things like that, like having a range, there's always some sort of solution to put that pricing out there. Call for pricing is not the answer. So, Tyler was talking about also like just shopping, for other things. I always compare like these two scenarios right here. We have one that says call for pricing, and we have one that has an exact price point. And if I'm like scrolling on Instagram, like we're all guilty of that, of like I fall into so many Instagram traps of buying things that I absolutely do not need. But if I click on, I don't know, a t-shirt, right, on Instagram, and I go to that and it says call for pricing, that's a t-shirt, it's probably $20. This is the biggest purchase someone's going to make probably in their lifetime. T-shirts, $20. I'm not calling for pricing. I'm not reaching out. I'm bouncing back. I don't see other builders' analytics, but I would be willing to put money on builders that don't have pricing or transparency on their website. I would imagine their bounce rate is pretty high. So It's just one of those things. I mean, we have to listen to our customers and we have to give them what they want up front so that they can, move forward with their buying decisions.
A story comes to mind. We have a builder in Dallas and they have a huge volume, but the inability to price out right away and wanting to just post homes on the website, they didn't have pricing. And we would survey people and they would say, my budget is 500,000. And then eventually, as things got a little bit better in terms of us being able to price things and getting more refined, we would post a certain spec that was, 750, and that same person that told us their price range was 500 was asked to set an appointment for that. And we're like, well, what happened? You said that your price range was 500. And they're like, well, if I knew this home existed with that price, I could afford that. And that's where it's like they were sitting for months not making a move because they didn't have clarity on what the pricing was. And they also told us something false because they felt like they couldn't trust us because we couldn't tell them the price. But when we were able to provide transparent pricing, not only were they not in the 500s, but we sold a 750 home. So, and that is not the only case that occurred. That occurred throughout our entire database, and it was like 50,000 leads. And we were able to sell out a few of our specs when we got that transparent pricing. So I see the use case that you're talking about, Lindsay.
So one of the biggest kind of struggles that everyone's going to face whenever if they're really getting started with trying to wrap their minds around, like, how do I even get pricing online? It's one thing to have pricing for your floor plans and your spec homes. What about pricing for options and all that sort of stuff, right? That's just like a whole other can of worms. But our team actually just finished, I tease that it's like our Homes by Tabor book club, but we just finished the book, Eat That Frog. And this was something that I had highlighted in there because it's so simple, but it's so true. It's, do not wait. The time will never be just right. Like it literally will never be just right. It's not like you're ever just going to have this time in your life where you just have nothing going on. We all are juggling so much at one time. So the timing's never going to be just right. So you just have to kind of take the leap and you have to start somewhere. So for us, one of the things that we did is we really just circled the wagons. It's not just, marketing and sales clearly that this affects, your purchasing departments, all of your operations teams, your BIM, departments, if you have those in-house, design, all of those departments really have to be involved in these decisions to, number one, understand what's going on, to have some buy-in. I feel like I'm really lucky because I work for a company that they believe in, for one, kind of what I do, but they also believe in maybe doing things a little bit differently and taking some chances and some different things. So I was lucky in that, but really you just got to get everybody in the same room. You've got to explain to them the benefits. And if you don't know the benefits, reference those statistics that Sherry was just referring to, right? Those are great statistics. Numbers do not lie. So it's always good to be able to share that type of information and tell a story with that to your leadership team. And then just really kind of figure out what your process is. We started off with spreadsheets. We literally went through every floor plan and decided what options we were going to make standard. And that's really how we started. So it was not the most fun process, but since then, since we've kind of gotten past those hurdles, it has been something that has transformed our company. So what we started doing is, we all know about content, right? Content. We did a company talk not too long ago, and I got up and presented, and they had like an over/under number for how many times I was going to say content, which I was, like, hey, that's offensive. but content's so important, right? So like, this is a floor plan that we have on our website. We have pricing very prominently there. We have our proudly overbuilt price, because this is not necessarily a starting from price. This is everything you need to get in your home price. And we have 153 additional pictures. So that should be plenty for the buyer to see. And then we have, virtual tours. We have a video tour. We have the build it button, which is pretty cool. So I will take you through what a customer's online experience can kind of be. So if they're scrolling, they have an opportunity to click build it up there, or they could build this plan down below, and then it loads this. And so not all of this has to do with pricing, but they get to go through and play with some of the fun stuff, their exteriors there, kind of play around with what their style might be. And we have sort of predefined templates on there to give them at least a start, so they're not feeling like they're just having to go through and pick out every single section of the home and colors. But this one in particular is, we call it pop a color. Maybe the shutters is enough pop, so we're going to go to the door and change it to a darker color. But then whenever they scroll down, they're able to actually choose what their options are. So I was working the Parade of Homes last weekend, and there was a customer that was really interested in building a certain floor plan, but they were like, okay, what are our options? Not a problem. You can play with these online, on your couch, in your underwear, right? Like whatever is most comfortable for you. And you can go through with your, significant other or your parents or whoever is helping you buy this home, and you can really see what's in your budget. So we have some of our most popular options on there, and it allows us to really empower our sales team too. They're not having to go back and forth and ask for pricing from operations. They're not having to go and call a trade or a vendor. It's all on there for them as a resource and a tool for not only our customers, but our sales team as well. And then you can see, like at the very bottom, all the options that they decided on, they're all totaled at the bottom. There's no surprises. There's no bait and switch. One of the coolest things that I feel like is just the biggest testament to whether or not this is a good choice or a bad choice for a company is right after we did this, we knew it was an investment. We knew that we believed in it, but we didn't necessarily know what the results would be. Right after we went live, we literally had a customer walk in with a printed out brochure into a community and said, I want to build this home. So she knew her floor plan. She knew the structural options she wanted to select. She knew all the pricing for it. And she clearly knew her community because she walked in the front door for the sales center. So, if that's not a testament to, whether or not someone should have pricing online or not, it's, like, I don't know what sign you're looking for.
And Lindsay, I bet you guys probably sell more options now that you offer that, because again, for customers, a lot of times when they look at those prices, especially if it's the first time they're seeing the price at your final appointment, right? When you're finalizing everything, it can be scary, but if they spend time online researching all of that, And with that tool, I know you can also offer a mortgage calculator. So it's not that scary, and they have time to think about it, go through the process on their own. And I mean, we see that builders who use this tool see as much as 30% higher upsell rate on options, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's big time, especially, I mean, even for us, like, we are kind of an all-included type builder, but people do want to personalize their home. And so it's allowed us to put our options on there that we know for a fact can be done in that particular floor plan. I mean, last weekend as well, I had a lady that was walking through this floor plan and she was in the laundry room and she says, but I definitely want to do the sink when we build. And in my mind, I'm thinking, can we do the sink? She already knew we could do the sink because she saw it online. She saw it on the floor plan. She knew how much it costs. And I'm like running through our, Rolodex of floor plans going, I hope, is the sink able to be put in there? But I mean, she was so informed because all of the answers were up front for her. So
cool. Lindsay, looks like we have a question here for you specifically. So for your communities with pricing, have you seen the quality of store traffic improve? So meaning prospect to buyer ratio.
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, I hate like ever saying anybody is a bad lead, right? Or bad traffic. Really is like nails on a chalkboard for me. However, I do understand that not all leads are created equal, or not all prospects are created equal. We have certainly seen an increase of just qualified traffic just because people are able to qualify themselves. They're not having to come in and ask these like awkward questions because they already know up front. I think back to like just what we've all experienced over the past few years with, I mean, if you turn on the news, it's like lumber is through the roof. And, we've experienced price increases for everything from lumber to shingles to concrete, you name it, everything that goes in the home. So whenever buyers have that information, they're not scared to come in because they know exactly what they're coming in to get. So we've certainly seen an increase, and we've seen an increase of actual builds versus, just a showcase spec home that we were more heavily selling before.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this. It never occurred to me. Well, it's occurring to me now. One of the biggest issues for a lot of our pre-sold builders is, decision fatigue. They're having to sit in front of the on-site person or salesperson and picking all of these things, and the rush to make a decision because, we want to get that sale and we want to move them quickly, but then they end up regretting a lot of things and they're just exhausted. But to be able to preview and sit here and talk about it, by the time they go and sit down with the on-site agent, they have the ability to further counsel them. It's just, that's like a huge solution for a lot of that decision fatigue that our customers are facing.
Yeah, it just helps close that circle.
For sure.
And I love the chat that's happening right now too. For one, it's like someone has seen my slides because they're setting me up here, and I love it. One of the most important things I think that Lindsay said, and she really hit it out of the park, was when she said circling the wagons. So like everyone from purchasing to the online sales team, marketing, operations, right? Like they have to be included in these choices of these pricing. Dan Sullivan, he wrote a really awesome book. It's called The Who, Not How. And one of his most important questions he asks, and he says in there, is we often think of as individuals as how can I accomplish this, right? So how can I be the one to help drive this change in my company? When really we need to change that mindset to be who can help me achieve this? So who can I use, or who on my team already can help me drive this transition? And I thought it's really fitting, especially for this topic. And if all else fails, I think one of the great things to do is, if you still have some of those people that are like, I'm not so sure pricing is going to work, I just don't think that's our business model. Let's A/B test that. A/B testing is awesome technology. It's there's my definition of A/B testing too. So thanks, Sherry. A/B testing is really taking two like pages, and comparing them one by one. Let's put pricing on one of them and see which one appeals to more buyers or not. If you don't have the capability of having software to do that, there's great software out there. which I can drop into the notes here later, optimizely.com, Crazy Egg, even Google Optimizer can help set some of these A/B pages up. So then as you start looking in analytics and views and traffic, you can see, hey, is my pricing page or my homes that have pricing on that doing better from a conversion standpoint than the ones that don't? So there's some cool tools out there to help you with that.
I want to say something really fast, Tyler, because you were just talking about that's not someone's model to have pricing in there.
Yeah.
And that's like what kind of spurred this whole, title of our webinar here, which is no pricing, then is it for sale? Because it was like, well, I think y'all asked the question, like, I mean, what would you do if there was a builder without a price or any kind of product without a price? And it's like, well, if there's no product, if that's not your model to have pricing, if there's not if there's no price, then is it even for sale? Like, how do you know it's even for sale?
Right, exactly. And it kind of ties into with this next like someone said in the chat, like, how are you guys updating pricing? Yes, connections. Like this is ultimate. We're in the world of technology. There are connection points out there that we can use through APIs, connecting two systems to talk to each other. It could be a Google spreadsheet. Yes, it could be your ERP system, but I would strongly urge to utilize those. I mean, they exist out there for a reason. And then you're only maintaining price in one place, whether it be an ERP system, a Google spreadsheet, wherever that is, update it once. And then we can use these connection points to send out to your listing sites, to your website, to social media, to print on demand flyers, right? The sky's kind of the limit there with that and connection points.
And if you could spend like a couple of seconds talking about that API connection, this is why you and I connected. It's like, what's the most expensive connection that we can build? You're looking, not most expensive, but if you're on the higher range, just like 40, 60,000. When you look at that price, think about how many years have you going back and forth and having to give people discounts because the pricing wasn't correct. Is that actually expensive, or is it expensive not to spend that type of money?
Exactly. It's the weighted scales, right? What's the return on that? It doesn't make sense to kind of bite that bullet on more of an a more expensive connection point. Or could you get away with, doing some free tools even, right? Yeah. There's the Zapiers out there in the world that, have very minimum connection points, but utilize connections, see where you can map those up. Definitely. And then if you're not able to do it, I jump back into Dan Sullivan's whole approach, like use partners, right? Find an internal resource. Michael Jordan was a great basketball player. Michael Jordan did not win a championship until he had the right friends, right? Until the Chicago Bulls leadership started like, hey, Michael's really good, but Michael can't do everything. So we're going to bring in Phil Jackson as a coach. We're going to draft Scottie Pippen. We're going to bring in XYZ players. And now guess what? The Bulls are the best team of the 90s, right? Because they have the right players around them. So bringing those people in, and it could be as someone as there's one person on your team that owns pricing. Like they're kind of the pricing police, right? They make sure your website is up to date. They make sure your flyers are up to date. They make sure your model sheets are saying the right information. One of their sole functions of their job is to make sure that it's all cohesive and everything is correct. Or once again, like I said, partner with a company that really understands digital. They understand automation. They understand those APIs. Like, right, I threw definitions out there because those might be foreign concepts to us, but there's partners out there that speak this language, right? How can we use automation? And we're not talking like fancy AI automation right now that's out there, chatbot, stuff like that. But how can we utilize technology to allow you to do more by doing less? I mean, I'm going to end with a rhetorical question, but like, how nice would it be to have your price set once and it instantly pushes to all your other digital assets?
The technology exists.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you sharing your expertise. So we have the email addresses shared on screen. So if you guys want to take them down, make sure you reach out to these guys because they've been doing this for a while. They have the expertise to give you advice on what works, what doesn't work, because they've been through all those pains. So thank you so much for joining us. This webinar was brought to you by Anugo Marketplace. And Inugo Marketplace is really designed to make new construction shopping easy and convenient for home buyers. Our smart filters and AI-powered customer experience ensures that buyers find the perfect match for their dream home, which includes pricing in some cases. When the builders share that, right? Inugo's Marketplace offers a range of features to make buying process seamless. So buyers can design their dream homes using interactive design tools, which allow them to visualize the final product, and it makes them fall in love while doing that. Inugo.com also offers collaborative shopping experience, allowing buyers to save and share their favorite plans, chat with co-buyers, and compare their favorites. For builders, Inugo's Marketplace really offers a higher quality for leads with engaged shoppers that have already spent hours finding and designing their dream home. So if you want to find out more about Inugo.com, please reach out to our VP of Business Development, Andrew. Again, thank you so very much for attending today's webinar. I hope you found value in this and you know how to approach these conversations with your builder if they're still saying, hey, we don't feel comfortable disclosing the price, because overall your customers will be happier, your customers will feel that instant trust, and the kind of customer that will get to you will be much further along because they will already have self-qualified that this price range is in my price range. So I am the right person for this, instead of you spending hours and hours with prospects who can't even afford your homes. Thank you again to our panelists for sharing this information. And like I said, I think this is a great IBS session. So what do you guys think? So hopefully we'll see you.
Announce it. We're gonna
Yes.
Yep.
I say, do it. Yes, see, we have lots of yeses, do it. So, okay. So yes, I would love to see you guys present this at IBS, because I think it's an incredible topic that needs a lot of attention and it still needs a lot of convincing. And if we can change people's minds on that, I think it's a win-win for both the builder as well as the customer. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I would love to hear your feedback on the topics. If there's any other topics that you guys would love to see in the future, we're here to serve you and provide you with the best current information for home building. On that note, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.